WITW 93.5. It seemed like all of a sudden it got quiet. Hey, oh, that's why. It's like an echo. Hey, I'm there, and I'm there again. Which makes up for not being here earlier.
Sure.
We were here. We just weren't on.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we weren't here. I wasn't here when I needed to be. But we were here trying to get stuff done. It's a little hectic this morning.
It's Monday.
Yep.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
and
morning.
Jackie's here. Jackie over there.
Good
Jen.
morning.
You have your freaky, creepy little eyeball tonguey thing.
That's right. I forgot about it. This is going to be a good
What?
day. Look what I found. I was cleaning the office.
Oh,
And
okay.
I found...
Yeah, put that back where you found it.
Yeah, that's pretty...
It's pretty awesome.
It's
is what it is.
disturbing.
yeah, it's
See if I
disturbing.
can- It's
Disturbing
kinda
is, in
sticky.
fact, a good word for it. And it's even more disturbing.
That's
even
awesome.
more disturbing.
Yeah. I'm
Did I
sorry.
confuse you when I came on at the end of the Selah song when you were
You
coming around
did.
the
I was
courthouse?
Yes.
I'm talking to the radio. I'm like, thanks, RG. I'm not there yet.
I wasn't either. I was across the
You
street.
know, I was really confused because I was right there and I'm
looking
like,
in the window. Hey, he's not there.
where is he?
It's all part of getting the word out about Selah. 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 I hope I said it right
Say love.
on the
Selah.
tag.
Yes, you did.
You did.
But, yeah, so that show's coming up next Saturday. Can you believe next Saturday is, not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday is the middle of April? Can you also
No
believe that taxes
way.
are due? I've not
I know.
even touched my taxes yet. It's
I keep
ridiculous.
You
losing
might want to
mine.
get on that.
I know. Yeah, I probably will. And the last few years I've
This
owed
week might be
taxes.
good
I'm
week
hoping
to do
this year
that.
I don't. Maybe it buys me a little bit of time.
Right. If you
But-
owe them money, you have to do that right away. If they owe you money, it's okay to be late.
Yeah, because
Yep.
they only penalize you like interest on what you owe them or something like that. There's something in there. Yeah, you're right. They don't care if they owe you.
Right.
Oh, take your time.
3
Figure
years
it out
later,
in a
we
while.
owe you money? No big deal.
Yeah, we'll just keep it. We'll use it. We'll keep it safe over here for you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not going to say, well, if the government ever goes bankrupt. At one point when I was buying a car, people buy extended warranties. I used to drive the miles out of cars because I was driving so much. And I was putting 30,000 miles a year on a car. and so I'd buy the extended warranty because otherwise I'd be so upside down mileage to age of the car wise that I needed to make it last a little bit longer. And I remember at one point buying an extended warranty and saying to the guy at the GM place, well, I'll always buy the GM warranty because if they ever went out of business, we'd all be in trouble. And then, of course, several years later, they filed for bankruptcy or whatever the heck they did. Or Chrysler, I guess.
Well, they got bailed
Whatever
out,
it is.
didn't they?
Yeah, but I think somehow they got out of all those warranty things. It's kind of like the other warranty company that I think what happened was the company, I said I wanted to buy the GM warranty, and the car dealer sold me another warranty. I wasn't really paying attention. It was another company, and that company did go out of business. Yeah, Warranty Gold or something like
Contracting out warranties. That happened to me with a phone.
that. Yeah.
And then I went to cash in on my warranty, and they said, oh, I'm sorry, we can't honor that. That company has gone out of business.
Yeah, that's
I
convenient.
thought, that's great.
And
We
you
won't do
can
that
stand
again.
in line and see if you can get your money back. but-
Right.
right. Never going to happen.
No.
Never going to happen. Never going to happen. Anyway, it
Yeah,
is
who's that?
about 20 minutes after 8 o'clock. What's that?
So, like,
What?
that song you were
Did
just
you
saying.
ask? I can't remember what the name of that group was. It's forever ago. There's 3 girls.
Uh-huh.
And I think maybe one
Do
of them
that
went on and
waterfall
did their...
song?
I don't remember.
I think so.
It's not Bananarama.
No.
It's post Bananarama. Bananarama came up on Just Dance 3 the other day. Kids were playing. And Lauren laughed out. Bananarama. She laughed at a joke yesterday that I just didn't really think...
Did she laugh at Buck Creek?
No, she doesn't laugh at Buck Creek. But what she laughed, I was trying to tell the kids, like, when I told them I came up with a joke when I was younger, and it was, why did the fly fly? Because the spider. And they had to think about that for a little bit. And then I was just throwing out, here's
It's kind of
my
funny,
kids, my
actually.
10 and 12-year-old, and I'm talking about, you of course know the, a guy walks into a bar type jokes. And that's what you need to be telling your 10 and 12-year-old.
Right.
Well, one is, a horse walks into a bar and bartender says, why long face? And one of my favorites is a termite walks into a bar and asks, is the bartender here? And then you just that's the end of the joke, but people are like waiting for the next line, and it's a termite, and it's the bar. It's a wooden bar, and so he wonders if the bar is tender here because he's a termite.
Oh.
And so,
Yeah, you gotta explain that one.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
because it's like people aren't ready for the joke to be over. It's like, okay, and next, and you really have to kind of think through and go,
Yeah, I didn't think of splitting
bartender.
the word.
right?
Yeah, I'm like, okay,
bartender.
termite, bartender.
Termite.
I don't get it.
But then the
Oh,
funny.
man.
the third one is a man walks into a bar and says, "Ouch."
Yeah.
Right.
Ba-dum-bum.
Right. So that was the one that cracked Lauren up. She just
Really?
just completely lost it at that point. We went and saw. We were driving to see the Lorax,
Oh, I
The
haven't seen
movie.
that yet.
which was
It
not
got
too
mixed
bad.
reviews.
Yeah, it wasn't as those movies I worry about because I think they can probably get way too preachy for the kids that they're appealing to. It was an entirely different spin on a Dr. Seuss movie than I was expecting. No Dr. Seussism. You know how like no mention of what those little fuzzy creatures are called. I can't remember if they're marmalutes or barbalutes. Little help there. I still didn't get a chance to look it up if anybody remembers. But I always remember in the book they talked about the marmalutes or barbalutes in their barbalute suits. And they had to get sent off because all the trees were gone. They didn't have a place to live. But I cannot remember what they were called, and I didn't get a chance to look it up. So if somebody knows that off the top of their head. But they didn't use all those Dr. Seussisms throughout the whole movie. Which if you watch the original, the one on TV, the whole thing is like right out of the book. So it's all made up words and rhyming words to made up words.
Oh, it was actually like really.
It was like
scripted.
actual English, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it was kind of strange.
huh.
But not bad. Big color, it was Dr.
Yeah.
Seuss's big
Did you do
color
the
and
3D
stuff. We didn't do the
IMAX?
3D.
No?
But we were so close to the screen. I mean, it's a good thing we didn't. We would have probably our heads would have burst. But we were in that lower tier up front, probably 4 rows off the screen, kind of middle, so it wasn't too bad. But the hilarious thing about it, and so it's hard for me to actually judge how good the movie was, because there was 2 little boys sitting behind us who had to have been 4 and 5, maybe 5 both, and they were giving commentary throughout the movie.
Awesome.
Which
That's awesome.
was like is something I could never criticize someone for because it'd be so hypocritical and hyper hypocritical. But at times, like when the last tree gets cut down, there's the last tree, and then one kid says, "That's the last tree." That's the last tree.
Don't do it.
No, he just says, and they cut it down.
Aww.
But just throughout the whole thing, they're just talking and, oh, that's my favorite part right there when he says that. And his mom keeps leaning over and going, shh, you need to be quiet. Why do I need to be quiet? I'm just saying what's happening.
That's awesome.
Very, very humorous. Though I'm sure as a parent, I would have been semi-horrified just because it wasn't as though he was whispering to his friend next to him. It really was. Maybe other people were less tolerant, but my daughters and I just kept looking at each other. It was very, very funny. It's very funny. I can't remember everything that he said, but they did, in fact, make the movie better.
That's cool.
And I went home and told my wife that, and she says it's kind of like that show. I used to watch a show called Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, I remember that. I do
Morning.
remember that.
And they would watch movies, like old bad movies, and make commentary
Right.
about it. And I just loved that movie. And so this was very much like that. Anyway, decent family movie. Crazy expensive at the movie theater, though. My gosh.
Yeah.
You know, I actually think that the Lorax might be, well, maybe not. Maybe I'm mistaken. Never mind.
What?
I was thinking that they might be doing that with one of their Saturday movies.
Probably not yet.
Yeah.
Probably not yet.
Maybe
I don't
next
think they
round.
have release on those movies yet.
Well, there's some new ones that they're doing this time around. I don't remember what they are.
You are
But-
still playing with that goofy thing.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
she is.
He's fun.
It's gonna get distracting pretty soon.
Pretty soon, you say?
It's not distracting me.
No, it's like fidgeting. All right, but anyway, so
I do
Jackie's
that
here. It's
anyway.
Monday, and we were going to dig into a lot of people celebrated Palm Sunday yesterday. The only reference we made to it at church yesterday was the fact that I said the world can turn on you pretty quickly. As Jesus came into Jerusalem, I wanted to say Bethlehem. I get my stories messed up. You being celebrated so tremendously and dead at the end of the week. So, let that be a lesson. If we take anything away from Palm Sunday, is the world is fickle. But it also is more in the Jewish tradition, we're heading into now. Passover and Easter don't always fall
No, they're
in the
totally
same
different.
time frame because they're different schedules. They're counted in different ways.
Yeah.
It would seem like they should match up a little more. I don't know.
Well, Easter is based on the equinox, I think. And so it changes.
Right.
Passover is based on the,
Jewish calendar.
yeah.
It's the
And
first
so-
festival of the year. Is
Yes,
that
it is.
because this is a new?
Passover and unleavened bread are the same, fall on the same day. So
Okay.
it's two separate things.
So we're going to dig into Passover as it is coming up. Have we started? When is
It's
it?
coming up. It's
Okay.
coming up
How long
on
is that actual
7
feast
days.
/ festival? Seven days long.
Passover is on Thursday night and goes for 7 days.
And I don't know if it's like anybody else, but my introduction to Passover was watching the 10 Commandments on TV.
oh,
Because, that's like where it first comes about. And then,
Right.
Charlton Heston says, and we will mark this occasion forever. Of course, really bad Charlton Heston. But they're sitting there having the meal and, and death passes by and he, proclaims that, hey, let's, we'll mark this going forward as the day that, God saved us. God passed us over. And that's Passover. Thanks, Jackie. Appreciate you coming by and
and we're done. Go read it in the Bible.
Right. Yeah.
watch the 10 Commandments, which
No,
actually will be coming up on TV probably this weekend.
There's a new version.
ABC does that like every Easter or maybe the Saturday before Easter. So they like set aside all Saturday night to play the 10 Commandments.
I wonder if they'll play the old version or the new
The old version. The old
The
version.
new version was pretty good.
I
never
thought
saw
it
the-
had too much embellishment to it. There was some things. I think I watched that, and there was good morning. There were some strange things that it went into, and I went back to the Bible to see that maybe because it's not like the original 10 Commandments, and I just kind of went, boy, they went down some roads that I couldn't quite
Make
follow.
the connection.
Yeah, but they just kind of took some liberties. That's the word I was thinking of. They took some liberties with some stories to kind of make it more dramatic.
To make it
But it was
Hollywood?
done.
Right.
It was done by. It seemed like an international group though too. If I'm thinking of the same 10 Commandments, it wasn't an Americanized version. Morning, Jason. Walked by.
Yep, he didn't hear.
Say good morning. No, he
You
did. He
weren't
waved as
fast
he walked
enough.
by. He like turned around and waved. Saw him referenced in the paper. They were interviewing people about the Mega Millions. Because everybody had to be prepared to win. What's your team? What team do you have to put together? Jason's had a quote in the paper.
What are you talking about?
There was a big lottery drawing over the weekend, like $500 million being given away.
Oh.
Yet 1.2 spent on tickets to win $500 million.
Wow.
Yeah,
Who won?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't think that I think the ticket was sold in Maryland, is what I thought I saw. But I don't know. I wasn't aware of it until I was someplace last week, and everybody started talking about the fact that they bought a lottery ticket or a Mega Million ticket. I'm like, why are you talking about this? What are you talking? Oh, it's up to $464 million, biggest ever. And then it got to 5. Then I think it got to 6 or close to it. Like, well, there's a few lives ruined. Perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's when you start getting people going crazy and buying $100 worth of tickets, and people who don't normally buy, and but that's
Yeah,
what happens.
wasn't on my radar this weekend. I had some other really cool stuff going on though. So
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Before we start talking about Passover.
Yeah. Did you go? You went to Jenny's thing Friday.
Well, yeah, I did.
Yep,
That was
that
pretty.
was
we were
great,
out,
too.
we ended up out with something going on with the family, so we didn't get any place this weekend.
Except the Loraz.
Other than the family stuff. Yeah, we had several family things going on. I
Right.
think I was supposed to. I took the afternoon off.
Yeah.
And then
You did.
And then came back to work in the evening. So I took the afternoon off, but I worked in the evening, and then we did some things around the house, and Ann started trying to recover from the back injury from
Oh,
lifting
bummer.
crazy things in the basement. And then Saturday we did something else. I can't remember. Finished packing our eggs, so we're all ready for the Easter hunt Saturday. And that was our exciting weekend. But you went to you went to Jenny's thing on Friday,
I did.
and then you went to Needtobreathe on Saturday.
I did.
We did.
We did. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. It was quite an adventure
Now, where were they?
at the Riviera.
The Riv, as all the hip people would say. Which is where?
in Chicago.
That narrows it
Somewhere
down.
in Chicago.
Oh no, we made it though.
Yeah.
I did not realize that the Aragon and the Riv are so close. I don't remember that from my past life. They're like right around the block, just right around the corner. But it was quite an adventure. It was a last minute thing, like real
Well,
last
not
minute.
for
For her.
everybody. Yeah, I was
For
going to say,
her,
you
it
had
was.
tickets
Not
a
for
month
me.
ago.
Yeah.
Right. For me, it was real last minute because I had intended to go see Shane in Chesterton to go to Simple
Right,
Day and
nice.
see Sons.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure he's excited to hear the fact that you went to Needtobreathe.
I sent.
Well, hold on. The reason why she went is because my dad wanted to go. My dad ditched me.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So I stepped up.
I forgive you, Dad.
No, they wanted to have a date night.
They did.
And you only got your dad a ticket, not your mom a ticket.
Well, yeah, I don't think my mom
could've
would
given up
really
your
want to
ticket.
see.
There you go.
No, my mom wouldn't want to see you Need to Breathe.
At least that's what you're telling yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
They put on a pretty good show, but we had an interesting drive. My GPS wasn't exactly working. But we did get there. It took us 2 hours to get there. But we got there. And we were a little worried about, because Jennie Wellsand was up there already. And she was telling us, am I distracting you?
Totally, you are.
She said there was, the line was crazy long and there was no parking. And interestingly enough, we got there. We found parking like a block and a half away. We walked straight in through the doors and right in. And then we were like 5 people deep away from the stage.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We squeezed. It was
Wow.
a squeeze. But
Yeah. It was pretty sweet.
Well, in some of those shows, you stand in line forever anyway. Mm-hmm. And then when they open the doors, the lines dissipate. They only sell a number of tickets to get into the show. So it's not as like it's a stand in line to get tickets and then get in.
Mm-hmm.
But parking's always an issue in Chicago. You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So-
No, block and a half away. It was pretty sweet.
Now, block and a half Chicago blocks or like Valpo blocks? Because that still could be.
It was Chicago blocks, but we were really close. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
it was a 3, maybe 5 minute walk.
On the
Maybe.
street? So
Yeah.
you didn't have to pay?
Nope.
Nope.
Wow.
Nope,
Saves
it
you
was-
$30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. God definitely had our back that night. So we, the show I've not seen them before.
Who opened
So-
for him?
Ben Recton. I've not heard of him.
Don't know.
He seemed to be pretty talented. It was a little strange. It was a real secular vibe when we first walked in. In that there was beer carts all over the place, and I thought that was
Never been to a Catholic church?
Oh
A
yeah.
men's group at a Catholic church?
This was my first experience at a Christian concert where it was set up
Sure.
like that.
It's
So
it's a public it's a
right.
secular theater.
right.
So-
So and it just kind of took me off guard.
I wonder how they do that at the Star. What do they call that place over there? Star Plaza? That place in Maryville?
Radisson.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Radisson.
Gaither's coming or has been there. I wonder if they sell alcohol during.
I don't know.
The
I
Gaither
don't know.
people are there.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it'd be, but that's a big income producer for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'm
They
sorry, I
made me
cut you
throw
off.
my
Go ahead.
seltzer water away. I tried to carry in my seltzer water.
Oh, yeah.
They made me throw it away.
Horrible.
I was like, oh yeah, okay, I guess I'm in Chicago. I forgot. So I was really impressed.
We do that at church if people bring stuff in. No, I'm just kidding. Throw out your Starbucks
don't.
coffee. No, I'm just kidding.
It's
We
a
don't really
dollar
do
per Keurig cup here.
that. Right. Exactly. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
You know what? I didn't know what to expect, and you know me, so I was like, okay, Jackie, what do they sing?
Who?
Give me some
Need to
songs.
breathe.
Yeah. She
We've
didn't
talked
know.
about Need to breathe.
No.
We've talked about his dad marrying the wrong
Yeah,
woman.
That's
right.
exactly
That no one
what
likes.
I told her. I'm like, okay, first one.
So I've decided that we need
man.
some media lanyards, like media passes, so that we can get backstage and interview them and ask them questions like that.
Yeah, that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, well.
I mean, you could wear one. You could wear whatever you want. I'd give you a lanyard.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to do anything for you.
It might. We were
might.
5. We were right up there, man. God
Yeah.
had our back.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Yeah. But I was, they did put on an excellent show. They're
they did.
great musicians. I really enjoyed the bass player. It was very good. Very, very talented. They all were really good. I was impressed.
Bear and the boys.
What?
Bear.
Bear? Is
That's
that his
the
name?
lead.
Bear and Bo.
Bear.
Oh,
is the
really?
lead singer.
That's his name?
His
Yeah.
brother is.
His
Like
Bo.
his
Bo.
given name?
Uh huh. He's
Really?
from like Georgia or South Carolina or something like
Huh.
that. Georgia. It is
Interesting.
Georgia.
It was really cool though. They did like 3 sets or something
Oh, it was
crazy.
so
They
good.
did this
Oh.
acoustic set, and
Oh.
it was pretty sweet. It was a pretty good show.
It was all entertaining. Oh my goodness.
Right.
Good.
Everything.
Yeah, I've heard very good things about them. We tried to do a show with them at one point. We couldn't make it work. At the time, they weren't playing like Christian festivals. So anything tagged Christian, you couldn't. They wouldn't do.
Bummer.
Yeah. We were going to try and bring them up to Sunset Hill the first year we were at Sunset Hill.
That would have been cool.
Would have been. But
I would have maybe remembered their songs
their
a little
song.
better than
Hey, they sing that song
That
about
one song?
his dad marries the woman who he shouldn't have. No one liked him.
I so wanted to ask them. I so wanted to just go, like,
Well, the video made it so much more clear than two.
Oh yeah, totally.
not.
No. Let's research this. That's not
Right.
going anywhere.
No, we tried.
So-
We tried to figure it out. But
Tried.
I have to say, I was a little taken aback. I thought I kept waiting for them to like give a testimony or share something. All of the bands that I've seen take a moment and really kind of give the glory to God, and these guys just let the music speak for itself, which was a little different approach for me. So I'm still kind of trying to figure out how I feel about that.
Yeah, they, the position, Greg, our friend Greg Johnson, had a chance to talk to them when they were at House of Blues last time.
Did
Or
he
last
have,
time
did
by.
he have a lanyard?
He did, actually.
See?
He had a lanyard with a backstage pass on it.
Oh, well, I can
And,
Photoshop a backstage pass.
The he had a chance to talk to him, and they were really focused on that and just trying to appeal to,
A broader audience.
yeah, I guess you
Yeah.
could say that. But they were talking about making a conscious effort of becoming back or coming back into the. Is that working? I was just listening here. Yep, good. Just checking to make sure everything's up today. But they were supposed to be coming back around. Now I believe he was talking to them about coming back and doing a show in Northwest Indiana then too. This was last year, the year before last. I can't remember when. But anyway, yeah, they were making a conscious decision to stay out of that. Now since then, I've seen them on festival dates and things of that nature. So they may be changing up a little bit. And I don't know how they've done in the secular side of radio. I know they had a song that crossed over someplace in there, but there's a few bands that have done that, and I don't know what's the right way to go. I mean, as long as you're not, again, in the world sort of thing, like acting so secular that you don't hold up
The values.
the values
Right,
thing.
right. Yeah.
You know, maybe the testimony is going too far, but if I don't know, I don't know where I land on that.
Right, I don't either. So this has been an ongoing conversation for us this weekend, trying to kind of sort through. I mean, from a marketing perspective, I get it, I understand it, but I just don't know. I don't know how it doesn't seem to sit right. It hasn't settled the notion behind it. Just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So, but
I'm not sure what the expectation of the people who were there.
Right.
I mean, could you get any read on that? Was it more of a Christian music seeking group, or was it more of a secular group?
I'd say mix.
I think it was a pretty good mix. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it was it was definitely a great performance. That's for sure. It was very entertaining. It was a great performance. I enjoyed it. I'd see them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely see them again.
Okay.
But, my expectation, I would at least know going in, that it wasn't, we weren't
Right.
going to worship in that
Not a
way.
worship, correct.
No.
And selfishly, I go to shows now with that expectation.
I do too, because I've been kind of spoiled. I mean, David
Right.
Crowder and Jeremy Camp and Casting Crowns, they're all very, there's that heavy overtone of worship, and I appreciate that. So
Yep.
it was pretty cool to see. It was definitely a rock show.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate that.
It was great.
Yep.
Good deal.
So,
So then,
Jackie,
Da-da-da-dun.
are we on to Passover then?
We can go to Passover if we want to go
Let's
Passover.
dive in. So,
Alright.
for those who don't know, the Jewish calendar is different than what's our Greco-Roman calendar? I don't know what we call our calendar. I can't
Yeah.
remember. Is it
it's Roman.
It's
calendar, I thought.
Greco-Roman
Roman.
wrestling? I don't know if it's
Sure.
a Roman calendar of some sort. Different. months, different new year,
Yep.
different happenings. And so this month, does it begin on the same, like April 1st is the
This
same
is
day as the first day of the next month? I mean, it's
No.
completely different.
okay. Jewish calendar, or Yahweh's calendar, I like to refer to it as,
Sure.
goes by the cycles of the moon.
Okay.
Our calendar does not go by the cycles of the moon. The full moon could be on any day of the month in our
Right.
calendar. That's how Yahweh created it, was that we were to tell time by the full moon and the new moon. And so actually the Jewish or Yahweh's calendar just started. Nisan is the first month that Yahweh says.
Not the car.
There
Not
was a
the
nice
car.
Z out here. When I parked next to it, man,
Easy for you
has a
guys to
sharp-
remember.
Right.
sharp-looking car.
And the 14th of Nisan is Passover.
The Z Nissan is just sharp. I'll just say that right now. The Z of Nissan. It's a good-looking car.
It's a good day. It's a good day to be in
man.
Nissan.
Happy Monday.
Okay, I'm sorry. So the
okay.
14th of Nissan is what?
14th of Nisan is Passover.
Is Passover.
It's Passover.
Well, let me just say that the concept of the Jewish calendar is a little confusing when we've been raised with.
Yes.
For those of us who have been raised with, what we think of as the regular or the normal calendar.
I think all
Our
of us
calendar.
have
Our
been-
calendar.
Right.
And so as I'm trying to sort through this and figure it out, and Jackie, it's
Yeah,
up
make
on my cabinet. Say what?
I said you're going to make her drown. She's like taking a drink.
Oh.
Yeah. But
And so it's up on my spice cabinet, and I look at it all the time because I'm visual. So I have to look at it as I'm trying to sort through it and figure it out. And I'm like, I just don't get it yet. It just
You want to make it even more confusing?
not
What?
really.
You've got that whole like reset every number of years because the difference between calendars, they have to
yeah.
add like
Every
a
once in a while,
month
there's
or
an
something
added
like
month.
that.
Yep.
Isn't it 7 years?
I think it's
7?
even more spaced out than that. But it is
no,
like something
it
like all of a sudden
depends.
like
Oh,
whole month. Like
Yep.
we have a leap day, leap year every 4 years. They have like a month, and they don't call it leap. They probably call it something else. But yeah, it is. It is.
I can't remember what the
Crazy.
month is called that they call it.
But
Well-
no, I think it is 7 years because it goes with that cycle of forgiving debts and
Right, that's what I was
releasing your
thinking.
slave
So
or
that's
your
7
servants and all
years.
that stuff. Yeah, I think it is 7 years.
so anyway, so I'm trying to figure this
It's a
whole
big
thing
party
out.
month, if I
It's a-
remember correctly, right? I
Really?
mean, it's like big festival.
It
Like
could
when they
be
let all
in-
those people
it
go.
could be in tradition. It could
Yeah.
be.
Okay.
I mean, it's never said.
But if you got a big month, wouldn't it just become naturally a big party month if suddenly you just had like an extra month?
Extra month.
Yeah.
Hey, we got an extra month.
Right, we
here.
got extra 28 days. We got to do something.
Right.
with.
Well, we were talking when Greg was here. We decided we wanted an extra day. We wanted to add an 8th day and call it Fun Day.
Fun
Man,
day.
when we say we, I went back to the tape. It wasn't we.
Greg and I.
You know what?
Decided.
Let's stick with what Yahweh.
Right.
Come on.
He only needed 7 days.
Yeah. He only, and you
and
know
he
what?
took one off.
I was gonna say
Right.
the
he
Sabbath
only
he
needed
took off,
6
so-
days.
Okay, so this whole different calendar thing
Yeah.
doesn't make a whole lot of sense as I'm trying to look through it and sort through it and figure it out and kind of adjust to it. But as I'm reading his word, I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of helpful to know if we have the calendar right.
Yep.
Right.
For example, in Deuteronomy, the Feast of Weeks, count off 7 weeks from the time you begin to put the sickle to the standing grain. Like what? When is that?
First fruits.
But if you have the calendar in which that's how you mark and note time, it makes perfect
I'm
sense.
sure they had their own adjusted Farmer's Almanac.
Almanac.
Wish I would have gotten through that better. There's the Jewish Farmer's Almanac and the like rural country USA Farmer's Almanac. Because you got to know when you got to hunt, know the moon cycles, and whatever else
Right.
farmers need to do their business.
To do what they do.
Right. Farmer's
So-
Almanac.
I thought you were going to say Farmer's Ultimatum.
No,
I wasn't
Thought that's
quite
where you
sure
were
what
going
you were
with
gonna
that.
say.
I wasn't sure if it was coming out. I knew what I was trying to say. All right. So we head into Nissan.
Yeah.
And it's ironic. I parked next to that car today, but because now I can't get my head off
Ironic.
that.
Yep.
I just
well,
can't
I
think.
shouldn't have said that.
Right. No, you need to because that's appropriate. But anyway, so that was the calendar before. So before there was a Passover, there was a calendar that the first month was Nisan, right? I mean, so it was already going on.
Yeah.
It worked out that way. That then it worked out that way. God had this little plan, and he said, "Okay, this will be the first month. Now I'm going to do something special with it. Make it like, you know."
What do you know?
Yeah. What do you know?
What do you know?
So Missy Maynard chimes in, and she thinks that the extra month is called the Jubilee, or the 7th year.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that's, I don't know. I keep thinking that that's not, but my mom said no. I don't know what she's saying no to.
She's just saying, did you ask her a question?
No.
She's mom. She's just saying.
She can say no.
She can say
like
no to me whenever she wants.
Right.
Well, this is where Missy's.
Maybe she say no to me with the Nissan. Maybe she's confusing. No, not that Nissan. This Nissan. Focus on the right.
Oh, man.
So 25:10 Leviticus says, "Consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. Each one of you is to return to his family property and each to his own clan."
50th year. I thought it was 7. Man, I was off by.
No.
So then she
There
said,
still
so
is
it's
the 7th year,
actually
too.
7 sabbatical cycles.
Yes.
That's a lot of S's.
I gotta go lay down.
Too much information.
It's getting confusing.
Oh, just
well,
wait. No,
well,
it makes sense.
It does. But you know what? I would encourage people to, obviously we're not going to have enough time to go through the whole Passover story.
No, we've got next week too.
That's true. We do. But I would encourage people to read it for themselves, to go and look Exodus, just start reading through Exodus and read through the Passover story.
Well, and why do you think it's important, Jackie, for people to read the story in Exodus about Passover?
Well, if we don't understand the first Passover, we tend to lose a lot in the Passover of who Christ was and what he came for us. He was our Passover lamb. He was the lamb that was slain for us. And if we don't understand what the first Passover was about, then I don't think we're going to get as full of a picture as we should in the New Testament when we read about his
sacrifice.
Yeah, his sacrifice for us. Right. And along with that, the Lord had really started showing me going with Passover is unleavened bread. And leaven is a picture of sin in our lives. Throughout Scripture, leaven is equivalent with sin. So it's the same thing.
Which is
I
interesting.
felt that when I was eating cake yesterday.
Yeah, it's this.
Get rid of
gluten.
it.
See?
That's the leaven.
No, leaven's different than gluten.
Right. No, the
They
leaven.
work together. They work together.
The leaven.
They do.
They
It's
do.
true.
I know.
The leavening of cookies and bread and all.
Yep. And it's
all those
interesting
things.
as I'm
leavening. Not. I'm leavening right along with it.
Oh, you'll love this then. Wait till here's where I'm going with the leavening, as it's a picture of, it makes things rise. Mm-hmm.
Puffs things up.
Yeah, puffs up would be a better description of me right now.
Yeah, so if you
it
take
makes
that,
my weight rise.
I was
So
thinking more in the
frustrating.
prideful level, but sure, we can go with that.
Well,
There's no pride
no.
in my weight gain.
you're boasting about it.
Oh, man.
No, I am wearing it like a sackcloth. I don't know. I need to tear it. All right, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So sin, if you think about that, how it makes you rise up and puff up. Mm-hmm. If you think about that in the way that it does that with bread and cookies and things like that, and the way that sin is so tied into our flesh, and how it and you can take it in a literal or a figurative sense with pride. How we get puffed up in that we're doing this and we're doing that and things like that, or if it's a fleshly sense, the things that you do to your body or with your body, or how that can make you literally puff up as well in different senses. I just think that's a really cool picture, the way that that he gave us leaven as an analogy to sin.
Yeah. And every year, as I start entering into this, and even our family, we're starting to get the leaven out of our house. And it's meant to be a picture of something, of us starting to look at ourselves and asking the Lord to clean out the leaven in our lives. And that is something that the Lord has really been pushing on me for a little bit now. Me and Jen had
She made me cry last night.
Last night or Saturday night?
Last night.
Oh, wow.
We both had a crying fest.
Yeah, it was good. It was good, though.
Just praying. But, I think this is the kind of stuff that we miss out on. Yahweh has feasts for us that he wants us to be doing. And when we just skip over them and don't pay attention to them, we miss so much that he wants us to glean from them. And for me, year after year, I look back from last year and I see the sins that I have overcome through the help of Christ. And every year, he always reveals something else to me that I need to get out of my life. And no different this year.
No, and I think it was so interesting that, we both, as we're praying and crying and talking about all this stuff, we're just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. It's hard. For me, getting the literal leaven out of my house is not hard. I don't have bread and cookies and those kind of things. I just don't have them. I don't eat them. The crackers I have are flat wafers, are unleavened, just, without gluten. So, but for me, it was more, oh my gosh, I'm going through all my clothes, and I know it sounds weird. Like, how is that sin? But I have so many clothes, like ridiculous amounts. And as I'm going through, I'm like, but I don't want to get rid of that. But I don't want to get rid of that. And I realize I'm holding on. I'm holding on to stuff that I don't need to hold on to. There's no reason to hold on to it. And it's very, reminiscent for me of things in my past that I've gotten, that I've overcome, sins that I've, I don't have to worry about anymore. I've conquered those things and moved on. And yet here I'm, it's silly. I felt silly as I'm talking to Jackie and we're praying through it. I'm like, they're just clothes. Why am I holding on to this? What is it a picture of? Is it just my stubborn, little girl rebellion that I don't want to give up? I don't want to, I want to hold on to things. And it was just very telling, in that I think I could see progress in that it was just clothes now. It's just the clothes. It's not anything, real detrimental to my body or anything like that. But still, I was just like, wow, I can't believe how stubborn I am. I can clearly see the pictures that he's provided for me, that I need to let go of this. I need to get rid of it. I need to move on. There's a reason for it. And having conquered all these other things in my life, that he will bless me. I know there are amazing things to come when I let go of this baggage, so to speak. When I shed these extra layers of clothing, literally. And still, I'm stubborn and I'm saying, but Lord, I don't want to. I like that dress. You can plug in any sin and, we just
but I like it.
But I like it. It feels good. It tastes good. It, whatever. And so I don't know, I'm grateful to be going through this process as challenging as I'm, finding some parts of it. I know that there are good things to come from it. And he desires, it's obvious. He tells us over and over and over again in his word, that he has good things for us in store. So why would I not want those blessings? Why would I hold on to that dress that I really like?
And in Egypt, I think first we need to understand why they had to get the leaven out. They were leaving Egypt.
Right.
They were leaving that culture behind them. Leavening is a culture. And when we leave that culture behind, we're walking away from it and following, in this case, when they were walking out of Egypt, they were following Yahweh. And Yahweh told them to put the blood on the doorposts. The sacrifice, the lamb sacrifice, they were to put the blood over the doorposts, and they were to have faith that Yahweh would pass them with and not touch them with the death.
Right.
The death angel that came through all the land and killed the firstborn. And what you say when you do that is that out of faith, I'm going to put this blood over my doorposts and I'm going to believe that you will deliver me from this land. And in a sense, I think that that's why leaven is with this, is I want to be free from this sin. And the only way that I can be free from this sin is through the blood of Christ himself.
Right.
Over the doorposts of our hearts. And it's interesting that he takes us out and he cleanses us through the wilderness. He takes us to the mountain where he gives us his law. He doesn't do that right away. He gets us out. He gets the leaven out. We have to rely on him to give up the culture, to leave it behind. And then he takes us to the mountain
Which is a way better place.
His law,
Right.
to receive his laws, not the laws of Egypt, but his laws. And part of those laws are celebrating Passover, and within those things, I mean, there are just so many things. And in Exodus, when they're leaving, it talks about, it says, it will be a forever statute. I'm pretty sure forever is still right now.
Yeah, we're still in that forever window.
Right. I'm pretty sure we are. So, but in that, there's a warning that goes with celebrating Passover. And if we aren't celebrating it in the, if we haven't gotten the leaven out of our lives, if we haven't, Passover it's a feast, but it's also a time for us to look at our lives and to meditate and to give up things. And I would encourage people that if they are thinking about doing Passover, that they really need to go and study it for themselves and to be convicted about it, because it's not something to be taken lightly. But in doing it, I don't know how many years we've been doing it. Every year it gets better. And every year I see more of the fullness of the picture of Christ in the Passover. And there's a passage that I would like to read in the New Testament for people that like to say that, well, we don't need to do that today. Christ is our Passover lamb, so therefore we don't need to do that. And I mean, just from my logical, just thinking through, well, he is our Passover lamb. That's why I want to celebrate it now. Right. It's a celebration of what he's done for me. Just as the Israelites were celebrating Passover because they were celebrating coming out of Egypt. And we're to celebrate that also. We're to celebrate us coming out of Egypt still, because of them, we're able to.
Right.
So we're still celebrating it because of them and because of Christ. So we have so many things. I don't understand why we wouldn't.
Well, you know what? I can remember, and I went to a Catholic school when I was a girl, and we did.
And you're not a girl now, is it?
Don't go down there.
Right. Just an odd sentence, sorry.
When I was a young girl.
Right.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I remember in fourth grade doing a Seder meal. And it was kind of confusing at the time because I did, it wasn't something that we did that was really talked about elsewhere. It was just, it felt very, and maybe it was, I don't know, but it stuck with me, that we celebrated it that one time. And I'm like, okay, I don't really understand this. But, what I've come to realize is that celebrating Passover is not really any different from the traditional celebration that we call Easter. To me, in that the reason for celebrating is the same. The style of celebrating is a little different, and that we're still celebrating that he died. The Passover, he is our Passover lamb. He made that sacrifice. It's just kind of celebrating it in a different sense.
Yeah. And I think that I would also challenge people to, and I'm just going to put it out there, that people need to go and look up what Easter is and what the origins of it, and is it of Yahweh. That's all I'm going to say on that, is that people need to be challenged into looking into the roots of why we do the things that we do, because Yahweh does care. In 1 Corinthians 5, verse 7 and 8, it says, "Clean out the old leaven, so that you may have a new lump, just as you are in fact unleavened. For Christ our Passover also has been sacrificed. Therefore, let us celebrate the feast, not with old leaven, nor with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth." Now, to me, this is clearly saying this is still for us to be doing today.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Where were we? Those New Testament where?
1 Corinthians 5, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
But it's very clear through this that leaven and Passover go hand in hand together. That we are to get out the leaven in our lives before we celebrate the Passover. So we need to make sure that we have those two things together.
Would this be, because I often wonder about the origin of Lent, and I guess it'd be interesting to talk to somebody who studies that and sits on it, because the Lenten process is again, not something that I've seen written.
It's not scriptural.
Scriptural thing. It is more of a traditional thing. But
I'm not sure where that tradition lies, if it's rooted in paganism or not. I don't know.
But there's also that process of clearing out, getting ready for something. So I don't know if it's an extension of it more on the Reformed side or it wouldn't be the Reformed side because it's Catholic too. It's actually more Catholic. I don't know. I mean,
well, this is for that kind of stuff because Yahweh doesn't tell us to do that. He doesn't give us, he doesn't tell us to do Lent. He doesn't tell us to do all the other stuff. Now, the principle, maybe, I can understand why people get there, but the principle, Yahweh already laid down his rules on how to do that. It's through Passover. It's not through Lent. Well, so we already have a prescribed way. And sometimes I think that man tries to put his own spin on it.
Right.
Because we want to do it the way that we want to do it.
What do you mean sometimes?
It'd be interesting to see what the origin of Lent is because if you look at a portion of it and you look at where it's brought about, but I mean it's a 40-day thing that's not really a 40-day thing because you eliminate a certain number of days to make it fit, and it's a count back from Easter, which is never moving date anyway, and then some people use it, some people use it for something else. It's almost like a reset. I think I said this when Lent kicked off. It's a reset of the New Year's. What do you call those things? What do you do on New Year's Eve?
New Year's resolution.
Right. So, it's like, I didn't make it, 60 days, 40 some days into the year. And so I'm going to reset my New Year's resolution again.
My mom sent me a text saying that Lent comes from them mourning for Tammuz. And I don't know who Tammuz is. Tammuz sounds like a god of some sort. That's just what it sounds like. So, Mom, you can send me who Tammuz was.
To me.
Tammuz? They were mourning for Tammuz. No, sorry.
Because they had to give up their Tammuz because it was leavened. It was the origin of hot chocolate or hot fudge sundae.
Well, this is the other thing that
just going down a weird.
I think
road.
RG's hungry this morning.
Oh, he is.
I have a remedy for that.
Oh, come on, no,
Look what I brought.
Put it down.
It's raw apple cider vinegar.
She drinks this stuff raw, people.
Is this a Passover treat?
It's a treat.
Not for me.
On a daily basis. It's good stuff. Look at all that stuff swimming around in there.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Look at the Kankakee River. There's a lot of stuff swimming around in that too. We can go put it in a bottle and drink it.
Good stuff.
But anyway, yeah, and again, I think there's that reference in First Corinthians 2, continuing to honor the Passover. There are key points in Jesus' life on earth where he participates in these festivals, and they draw him into an area, and they go. Well, they're going in to celebrate the Passover. I mean, that's what his last week on earth in that earthly form is they're heading in to celebrate the Passover.
Yep. Well,
correct? And they have to get the upper room.
And this is the thing is there are so many pictures that we just don't understand when we don't like Passover. Yeshua, when he came in riding on the donkey, it was the 10th of Nisan. The 10th of Nisan is when. Okay.
I'm sorry. Just keep thinking Z.
I can totally see that every single time I say that. I'm just going to stop saying that. The 10th.
No, but the 10th of Nisan. No, I know that to be the fact. Go ahead.
Okay, so Yeshua comes riding in on the donkey on the 10th of Nisan. The 10th of Nisan is the day when they were to go and each family was to pick out a lamb without blemish, and they were to bring it into their homes and they were to examine it for the next 4 days to make sure that it was without blemish.
Wow.
And then they were supposed to take it to the temple. Now, Christ...
You're missing it. He's coming.
Hold on.
I got it.
So Christ comes in on the donkey on the 10th of Nisan, which is a picture of them starting to look at him to see if he's without blemish or without spot. Mm-hmm. He stayed in Jerusalem those next 4 days.
Right.
And then he was crucified on Passover.
Is that the 14th of Nisan?
Yes, the 14th of Nisan.
Now, I'm going to go back to something we studied in Chuck Missler last year, and because of who he is and pointed it out. Now, this is, he goes back into, like, skip past Passover and tie all these things together. It goes back to tying in somehow Noah and I want to say the opening of the ark or I can't remember. There's something in the Noah story that ties exactly to the same date.
Oh, well, yeah, it gives dates.
Yeah,
it gives dates.
Again, it's very. I mean, it doesn't. There's no accident there, but I can't remember exactly. And I don't have my Bible. I have it marked in mine, but I don't have it with me.
Where in?
Enough for me to find.
In it would be Genesis.
Yeah.
In the Noah story.
Yeah.
The Noah story isn't nearly as long as what one would think.
Oh no, it's not.
Chapter wise, I mean, it's obviously a long time, but there's probably not a lot more to say. Day
Chapter
40.
8, I believe.
We're still on the boat.
What?
I said day 40. We're still. I was like making a diary for Noah.
Was this a?
Like we didn't have to have a day by day.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Oh,
Day
captain's log.
40. We're still on the boat. There's still water and animals. So there's not a lot of detail about every day of their venture.
Oh, I would. Yeah, that's okay.
Right. No, but I think that I can't remember if it's the beginning when he closes, but I'm pretty sure it's actually when
It's
they
at
open the
end.
door.
It's at the end when it's given.
Right.
I know there's a date.
And on this, because it's, I mean, it is like the 14th of Nisan.
I don't know it's the 14th, but it could be. I don't know. It could be.
I can't
I don't
remember either.
know.
But I'll have to,
I'm
look.
skimming through it, so I'm not finding it.
I'll have to. We'll see if I can find my Chuck
Well,
Missler
and-
study. I still need to find that.
And you know what? There probably is pictures. I mean, there is pictures of in the story of Noah of Christ.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and we've talked about this over and over where it's what's the word? It's like zoning in. It's like a
Focus.
yeah.
Foretelling.
You know,
It's a foretelling thing.
yeah.
It's like setting the
And
table.
each time it gets smaller and smaller and it gets closer and closer. So you have, even from like a lineage standpoint, it's with Abraham, and then he made a covenant to Isaac, Jacob, and then you just keep going, zoning in and in and in until you get to Christ.
Right.
But you can't take any of those covenants away. You have to have all of those in order to get to Christ. You can't just
Right,
go,
right.
we'll take away Isaac, and
Right.
take away that
Right.
covenant
That
with him.
covenant doesn't count anymore.
Yeah, that covenant.
'cause
Yeah,
it's Old Testament.
I'm pretty sure it still does.
Right.
Without him, we wouldn't have. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on. Well, how do we get to this?
I don't know. No,
I'm trying to figure that out
Where you got
so I
it.
can tie
Where-
back
how
in.
You went.
RG.
That's your
I
job.
was just talking about the fact that the Noah covenant, the fact that they set aside a day that or God marks this day. I mean, it's in is in Nisan, and it could very well be that because let's see, you wanted to know 7 days and set forth the ark, drove out the ark, the dove came back in the evening. But again, I think where people would say, well, it's real easy to do that sort of retrospectively because, they knew all these things and they went backwards and forwards. But because of the keepers of those two parts of the Bible, there would not be a need for those that didn't see Jesus as the Messiah, who don't recognize Jesus as the Messiah. There's not a reason for them to sort of make up something to point at something that they don't, recognize. I think the other thing that kind of going to your point, Jackie, where you're talking about, all these things pointing to him, Missler references, and I've seen it referenced elsewhere, the number of prophecies that Jesus fulfills uniquely. And the probability, if we're talking about lotteries, the probability of that being a chance that he fulfilled just a handful of them, not the 300 or some of them that are actually prophesied about him, but the fact that he fit. And I think he starts like, well, if he fulfilled one of these, here's what the odds would be. If he fulfilled two of these, and it's like two different writers and two different time frames, and then you start to just lay out Isaiah. If all you did was look at Isaiah and said, well, Jesus pretty much fulfills those things, like down to how he dies and how he is, for lack of a better term, kicked to the curb and just tortured. That's Old Testament. When people read about that, they think it's the story down the road, and it's probability-wise, as we said, it's all foretold and in the Old Testament, and then and then lived out through him.
Yeah,
Well,
and
this-
it was fulfilled through him. But fulfill
Correct.
doesn't mean to do away. It means to fully preach it. That's what fulfill means.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Fulfill, the word fulfill,
Right.
means to fully preach something.
Okay.
Christ came to fully preach it. Does that mean that we do away with it?
Oh, right.
When someone fully preaches something,
We're done. We can put it on
We're
the shelf and move
upholding
on.
it.
Right. We need
Right.
to keep honoring it and moving in there.
yeah.
Well, it's interesting, this notion that, that people have of the Old Testament not being relevant. And, it's very pick and choose. Well, I don't want to do this, so it's in the Old Testament, so I'm just going to say it's not relevant anymore. But if you're talking about the covenants and things like that are in the Old Testament that help us see the picture of the fulfillment that we have in the New Testament. You think of, we were talking about Noah. Then we're just going to abolish that covenant that Yahweh made with Noah. So the entire earth is going to be flooded. I mean, there's just one.
Yeah, we can't pick and choose.
Because
which ones.
people like to stand on that. Well, God said he said he will never do that. The earth will not be destroyed by water again, and people stand on that. But then, in the same breath or on the same hand, they want to say things like, "Well, that's Old Testament. We don't have to do that anymore." So how do you draw the line? How do they draw the line? How do they pick and choose what they want to believe and what they don't? It's and I think that it's difficult and it's challenging for us to go through and look at these things and sort through and figure out, well, why do we do this? Why don't we do this? This is in here too. So I just want to encourage people to not be discouraged, wherever you are at with this.
It's a journey.
It is a journey. And, I have a lot of questions. I'm searching through this right now. I'm poor Jackie. Thank you, Jones family, for tolerating me, because I have so many questions. And there are some things that I'm very convicted about, and that's real easy for me to sort through. And then there are other things where I'm like, boy, I don't get it. But I've been doing this for how many years? I don't understand. But the questions are rising up, and there's a stirring going on. And that's exciting because I'm learning.
Yeah.
And so, the journey is good. And he promises us that the journey will be good, especially
It's
knowing
good.
the end
it
result.
It will be hard.
Right.
It is hard to do it because it's a constant getting the leaven out of our lives so that we can be more like him. And every year it's something else. And for me, I'm glad that it changes because I'm glad that
it's not the same
for
sin
me,
every
it's
year.
not the
like,
same sin.
Okay,
Yeah,
done with that one.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is encouraging to me to know that, you know what, Lord, with you, I can get over this. But I have to be the one to initially give it up because I have to let him take it. And just like the Passover, they had to have faith to put that blood on the doorpost. They had to have faith to get the leaven out of their houses. They didn't, for all I know, they could be like, well, why does it matter if we have leaven or not? They still did it. And they ended up walking out of the land. And if they didn't do that, they were going to lose their firstborn son, which would be a horrifying thing to have to go through, to have your own flesh and blood being lost. I mean, that's just...
And not just having them, not just losing them, but knowing that you lost them directly because of your disobedience. I think that makes the picture even stronger.
And in Egypt, when they left, the stranger was walking out with them too, it says. So people can say that it was just the Israelites walking out. It was the stranger and the sojourner walking out with them, the ones that saw and believed. So it's not just for the Israelites or the Jewish people. It's for anybody that wants to come into the kingdom.
Right.
Right. Well, and I get a lot of, people like, well, what are you doing? You're keeping Sabbath. You're what? My mom's really intrigued or maybe confused. I'm not sure. She has lots of questions that I don't necessarily have answers for yet. But here's what I say. I am exploring my Messianic roots. Christ was Jewish. These are the things that he taught. These are the things that he did.
Does that mean you're giving up the blowtorch too? You're going to become a carpenter? You go on the wood route too?
I do like to work
That's not
with
a
wood.
commandment. Where is that one, RG?
You're exploring your Messianic.
I didn't say Mason.
Well, that'd be concrete, wouldn't it?
Right. Yeah.
The Masonic roots would be working in Mason.
You know what? He is faithful to those that want to know what to do. He is faithful to reveal himself. And
it goes to the intentions of the heart thing.
Yes.
I may not get it perfectly right. It may be far
That's
beyond
right.
my ability
It's a
to
journey.
grasp it. But if I'm doing it with the right intention for the right reasons, then he knows what it's about.
yeah,
I found that reference to,
I did too.
but I have to go
the
back and look
first-
and see what it is. First day of the first year.
Yeah.
First day of the first month.
Yeah, which is Nissan.
Right.
But they don't
Doesn't say.
they don't
it's-
get off. They
right,
don't get off until the second month. Yeah.
Right. 27
The
days.
27th day, yeah.
So I have to figure out what his reference and tie into that was, because there was something that he made about it, and I have to remember. I have to go back and look. But
There's lots of cool pictures in all these stories of Christ
right.
coming.
So anyway, well, we're about 9:15. And you're listening to WITW 93.5 LPFM,
Valparaiso.
Yep.
and
exactly.
just a little late on our ID there. But there's some. I need to look up something else. But I have a 9:30 appointment I got to get off to, so we'll wrap up. We'll pick it up again next week with our
Yeah.
chat about Passover.
Well,
Because there's
we
a part
would've-
of me that would like to dig into, and maybe this is our growing list of Brad Scott questions would be
Well, he's coming pretty soon.
right next week, right?
April
He's
17th,
speaking
I
on
think.
the 17th, and he's
2
coming in
weeks
on the
still.
18th.
Okay, so it's still
in
2
here.
weeks away. I was
Yeah.
thinking it was the week after Easter.
Doors
that-
open at 6:30. And
I wrote 6 o'clock. Just
6
That
o'clock,
was just for
really?
me. But no, but that was
I
just
know.
so that I was
Oh.
on time.
Okay, got it. Yeah, 6:30 they open, and it's at I'll post it on the
Facebook page.
on your Facebook page.
Okay.
Get it up there. People should
And-
come. Anyone's welcome.
But I think one of the challenges that I've really been stuck in, and I've heard more people talking about more recently, is the whole rollout of Easter as we head into Easter weekend with the 3 days in the grave question versus a crucified on Thursday question. You know, there's a whole lot I'm hearing talked about now, and how, you know, again, tradition versus
What Scripture actually
what
says.
Scripture actually says. And Scripture doesn't say, you know, hey, on Tuesday he walked in. Basically, he came in on the day, you know, heading in, preparing for Passover. So you can tie that into where it is. But yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. I remember reading it probably more than I've ever read into it last year, and just kind of went,
Wait.
wait a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember
Hey.
when my mom. I think we were doing devotions. I can't remember what we were doing, and my mom just started like, "Wait, this doesn't line up.
Right.
Friday, Sunday,
Right.
how they get that?" And then just looking into the traditions, and man, there's so many traditions that we have, and we don't understand the baggage that we have when we do traditions that aren't even lining up with Scripture.
Yeah.
It's a mixing, again, and Yahweh hates mixing. He wants us to do it the right way, and he
Yeah.
tells us how to do it. I'm sorry, like you can't. He tells us exactly how to do the Passover, how to do Feast of Unleavened Bread. He tells us how to do those things. Let's just do them how he says to do them, and then we'll see the pictures of Christ. And I think that that's the thing that I have learned in doing Passover, is that you slowly learn more and more every year. It just, like, different things hit you. And Christ is our first fruits. It talks about that. He rose on first fruits, not Easter. He rose on first fruits, resurrection. He resurrected on first fruits, which coincide.
Jackie, you're referring to first fruits, and I don't think people really understand that reference.
First fruits is when they were to take in. We talked about, I think you made a mention earlier, about gathering in of the sheaves and bringing them in, and that is done on the first. It's done on the first day of the week of Passover. So whatever day Passover is, then it's done that following after the Sabbath. It's done on the first day of the week, and that's first fruits. And that's when Christ resurrected, was on first fruits, and he is our first fruits.
Right.
He is the first fruits from among the dead, because the grave could not hold him. There's just so many pictures that, you know, like, I'm not going to be able to give you guys all the pictures that are in there of how Christ goes in with the Passover. It's just not, there's so much in there.
Right.
Everyone needs to study for themselves. And I hope that what I'm able to do is just encourage people to go and look at it and just let the Lord show you, because when we seek him, we will find him. So
Amen.
that's my encouragement.
Well, and it's kind of like the guy that we played last Thursday, Cockle or Kukul. He talked about, look, I'm not trying to change your mind today. I'm not trying to convert you today, but I want to be that stone in your shoe. I want you to be
constant reminder.
Yeah, I want you to not walk away from this and just be able to close the door on it and study. And after I gave my preview last week, that's somebody came out and said, man, he said to me, man, you stirred something up in me. And I said, good. I said, that's what I want. He goes, I don't know what I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm feeling, but it was what I needed to hear. And I said, yeah, exactly. And so that's where you got to go from that on your own. Then you need to kind of go through that process.
And in some ways, that's what the plagues were meant to do. Before they walked out of Egypt, there was so many plagues, and the last plague was the death of the firstborn. And Yahweh gives us chances. He gives us time and time again to turn from our sin and to get it out. But there does come a point when we have to make that decision.
Oh, right. I'll get rid of the dress.
I love how that's what it spoke to you. There does come a point when we do have to be faced with the situation of, are we going to choose him or are we going to choose our own way? And that's a picture of Passover. And ultimately, what he came to do is set us free from the law of sin and death.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we need to button up for the day and have a moment of time in prayer and then move on with the rest of our day. Thank you very much, Jackie, for coming in. We'll continue to dig into it a little bit next week. And it's a struggle. We get caught up in things that get melded together, like you said, mixed up with what we think it's supposed to be, what we're told it's supposed to be, and what in reality it is, and what we're comfortable with. I think that that tends to be one of those things. And
I was really comfortable in that dress.
And I am not comfortable in my clothes anymore because my clothes are the same size and I am not. So I need to unleaven myself.
You need to deflate.
Food. Yes, I need to. Right. I just need to pop myself.
Pop yourself.
But anyway, so that's what I'm swimming with right now. Though there will be no swimming in my current state publicly. So anyway, appreciate you coming in, sharing with us, and stirring us up a little bit, and hopefully it's done that for some other folks out there, and kind of work through the struggles of what God's calling us to do and be, and understand that, not just sort of be fed that and assume that the way we're going is the way we're supposed to be going. So there's lots of stuff out there, lots of
enemy disguises himself in light.
Yeah, lots of world out there that we need to work past. So
Amen.
Anyway, any prayer things we want to make sure we cover, or that y'all want to cover, or just dive in?
I have a prayer request.
Yes, ma'am.
Good friend of mine, Kiefer, is getting ready to have surgery next Monday to have her large intestine removed. And so just prayer for her and her family.
Sure.
So
yeah,
she's really young. She's 17. So
wow.
Yeah.
That is.
She's been struggling with this for a while now, and this is kind of the last thing that they can do. So, yeah.
Was that the kefir you mentioned last week, or is there another kefir?
No.
That'd be rather interesting that we'd have two people, same name. All right. I still lift up Jim Norris, who I haven't heard an update, but know that he was, I think, meeting with doctors on Friday and putting him off because we're heading into Holy Week. He had a lot of stuff to do. So we'll lift him up and I mean, he lifts me up. That's the crazy thing. I mean, just his whole attitude about it all just is mind-blowing. So anybody else? Anything else that... all right. Well, who's jumping in first? Jack, you want to lead us off?
I can.
All right.
Father Yahweh, we come before you and we thank you for this day that you have blessed us with, for the sunshine. And Father, I ask that we would be pleasing unto you this day, that we would be serving you in everything that we do and that we say. Father, I ask that you be convicting us of the sin in our life, the leaven that we need to be getting out. Father, that you would continue to put us through the fire and to refine us, Father, into what you want us to be. Sometimes that's hard and it hurts, but Father, I want to be like you. And I ask that you just continue to be patient with me as we go through this life of dealing with sin. And Father, I ask that you be softening our hearts, that we wouldn't be like Pharaoh who wouldn't listen to you, but that we would have soft hearts, and that we are willing to leave the leaven of Egypt behind us and to walk into the promised land, Father. I pray that as we go into this Passover season, that we would that we be reading your word about it, that we would know the story and why we do it. Father, you command us to do it, and but you also command us to get rid of the leaven in our house. And I ask that we would be willing to do that and willing to surrender totally unto you. Father, thank you for sending your son Messiah for us to be that Passover lamb for us, to die upon that cross. Father, every year that I do Passover, I see a better picture of why he had to come for us. And Father, I ask that we would not be taking that in vain, that we would take up each of our crosses and come before him and have him help us carry it, Father. Father, I thank you for this Passover season and what it means. And thank you for giving us these feasts. We overlook them so many times, and they're your feasts. They're Yahweh's feasts. And I thank you for that. And I ask that we would uphold them and that we would have delight in doing them, Father. I thank you. In your name.
Heavenly Father, I just, I'm going to say thank you again. I do have a very grateful heart, and for that I am grateful, Lord. I thank you for the spirit that you've given within me that helps me to see the blessings even in the tough stuff, Lord. Even in getting rid of clothes. Lord, I thank you for the beautiful picture that you're revealing to me. I too thank you for this season and for the amazing feast that we get to celebrate. Lord, I'm blown away at the way that you have tied things together. The pictures, the stories, the symbols, the things that you show us and reveal us, especially when we become more faithful to you and to your word. I thank you for this opportunity that we have here today to share things with people that maybe they've never looked at in that way before, that they've never heard before. And I just pray, Father God, for everybody listening, that you would give them hearts to receive your truths and your words, and that you would help each one of us to walk through this journey, knowing that there are things, that the refining process is difficult, that it causes, it does cause some pain, some discomfort, but also knowing that the end result is beautiful. When gold is refined, the process is dirty and it's ugly and it's hot, but the end result, as we know, is amazing. And that's what you desire for us, Lord. And you love us so much that you take us through that process. And I just pray that people would go forward in learning about this, that they would know that you are there through that process. And when things get too hot, so to speak, that you will be there. And Lord, I just thank you for this day, for this opportunity that we have. I pray that you would continue to bless us as we go forward, that you would order our days for us, that we may shine brightly for you. And, I lift up each and every person here in this room with me. I lift up Jackie and RG, and I thank you for them, for their hearts that belong to you, that we can come together in fellowship and learn together and hopefully encourage others and add a little bit of laughter and joy into the morning as well. I lift up Kiefer. We've been praying for her, and I just continue to lift her up to you, Lord. And I pray that you would be glorified through the entire process, whatever the end result is. In your Son's name, I pray.
Heavenly Father, I'm thankful for this opportunity to come to you and just chat with you and just share what's on my heart and ask for direction and forgiveness when I wander off and maybe don't quite get it, but working toward it. So I know that you know the intentions of all of our hearts, and that you'll continue to reveal to us as we draw closer to you what it is that you need us to know. Today, especially, I lift up Jim Norris, who is one of your faithful servants, who absolutely has been has life changed by knowing you better, and is going through some pretty dramatic life issues right now, but has the absolute attitude that I hope I will model. That you have it in control. It doesn't matter what's happening here, but you have the big picture in view. In the end, it will be in your honor and glory. I also lift up Tiny, who has been dealing with an aggravated issue of his hip. Hasn't quite been able to figure out what the issue is there, but continues to soldier on and be faithful to you. Just ask that you continue to show me the light for the next step, and that I am bright enough to see it and follow it. And so I'll pray all this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank y'all. We'll be back tomorrow. Justin is a gentleman I talked to. We're going to try and have him in for Testimony Tuesday. He's on the fence. Like, is he ready to do this? Is the whole radio thing?
You can do it.
The whole radio thing is somewhat intimidating, and so we've talked through it. But I'll follow up with him, and if he can't be here, I think what we'll do is try to play Cliff's testimony that we have on DVD and share that with people. I think it'll be good to give some background how we're even here, why we're even here, something. God's inspiration of him and for him put him out on a limb to say, hey, we should start this music ministry and invest in a radio station that will never pay us back. And yet it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Right. It's paid back in reaching out into the community and serving the community. So thanks, everybody, for listening today, and we'll be back tomorrow. Hope everybody has a great day.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.